It's football and other F words, and we are live. We had no. This is fucking really weird.
I can't.
Like
hear.
you can even see yourself. You're not even on the TV.
Yeah.
So this.
Can you hear me?
This is really weird. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear me.
Is your volume up? I mean, I can hear you.
It's all the way up.
Yeah, I hear you. This is weird. Here we go. Look. Jackson's
Real-time
messing with it all right now.
Real time producing.
We are live. Football and other F words. See, here's the thing about being on TV. So first off, because of how I sit, look how off angle I am. Like we only get your hand. So is this actually live? Like I can't fucking figure it out.
Yeah, y'all are live. Just go with it.
Okay. So I don't know what's going on.
We're not live?
But here's the thing. This camera that I'm looking at up here is at the worst angle for anybody,
dude,
in life.
Every
I feel
time
like
I
I
watch-
love the cameras and all that kind of stuff.
Every time. Are we live, by the way?
Yeah, we are live.
Okay, cool.
Can you not hear anybody? Are you plugged in?
No, I can't hear anything through my headphones. I think I'm turned on.
Do you have a green light?
No,
Then your battery pack's dead.
my battery pack's dead.
That'd
right.
make sense. Now we got Jackson in here.
Yep.
So someone has messed with the cameras.
Yes, definitely.
Oh boy, someone in here has messed with the cameras, and that was the first rule I was told about being in here. You don't fuck with the cameras.
What if
And
I
someone
just
has moved them around.
talk with my mouth?
So it should be this camera.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yep. so
Puppet show.
now this is, we need you to draw like your face on this. You know what this
There I
is?
am.
You know why this is like this?
Why?
Is because Jackson saw your haircut earlier.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, and
I've
he
been
was
trying to
making
hide
sure
it.
you were not on TV.
See, I sink back into this couch, and that camera points right at me, and I just look at this, and I'm like, look at this fat amorphous blob. It's just like I'm basically like fitted to the couch.
Like I'm trying to hide. Like here, please, no one look at that. I'm sitting down with blue jeans on, with my belly hanging over.
Yeah.
I just came from ML Rose. Free shout out to ML Rose. I
Love it
actually
out there.
got the stout burger with the pretzel bun.
You had the pretzel bun.
Mhm.
I didn't even notice I didn't get the pretzel bun. It was just a regular bun.
It was good. It was delicious.
Good.
Had
Did you get bacon on it?
No, I didn't get bacon on it.
I got
I'm-
bacon on mine.
I'm a weird guy. I'm a weird
Is
guy.
Can we point these cameras at what's happening in this room beside us?
I don't like bacon on my burgers.
Really.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm just like, it's all right.
It's a lot.
Now, I like a baconator,
Yeah.
but everything else, I'm just kind of like missing out on it. Like I'm like, I don't really need it. Here, let's see. Let's go
Are
to
we
105
frozen
The Zone's Twitter. Let's see if we're actually on there. We are on there, and I'm going to retweet it and going to say, you know what most people hate talking about?
What?
Sam Darnold.
They do, man. I wanted to ask you about that if you're feeling it too, because on our shows on the Hot Read, and I hopped on RKW 720 Monday mornings, the chat just the crowds have seemed to turn to where you can either say the Titans should stick and pick Cam Ward, or you should go fuck yourself, basically. And I don't know where this change happened. Was it just the combine? Everybody was just waiting to pounce. Like we heard Shedeur Sanders supposedly struggled in some interviews. So now everybody's just like, Cam's the clear-cut number one. And if you can't get with that, you can go to hell. Like it's been really weird.
So here's what happened. So in my mind, everybody's been stepdadded. So at one point, this quarterback class sucked. And everybody's like, oh, this quarterback class sucks. Cam Ward's not that good. Shedeur Sanders, number one, but Cam Ward's not that good. Shedeur Sanders not that good. What are the Titans going to do? And now it's like, okay, well, Cam Ward is the only quote-unquote viable option.
Yeah.
Okay? So he is now the guy that your mom brings home.
Okay.
Here's your new stepdad. You hate him. but you grow to love him over time and you want him to throw you the ball at the park now. That's what it feels like. Everybody's been step-dadded about.
Yeah.
That's not to say Cam Ward's not a good,
Well, that's the thing, man.
player. It's not to say that Shedeur Sanders not a good player, but it is basically what everybody's saying is the fact that, okay, well, he's our only chance at having a father. He is the best father in the world.
You love him because he's there.
You love him because he's there.
Yeah. You just forget the fact that he's clapping mom's cheeks.
Oh, we didn't have to go that far, but yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
I forgot we're
can
on
they
the
not
air.
be cuddling?
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm sorry. I forgot we're on the air.
But yeah. Joseph is giving you shit for coming from the guy who said prick on air.
Yeah.
On the radio,
Did
and
we
then let two of his stars say prick on the radio.
Did we hash that
Unaired.
out on the air last week, or was that a conversation?
Yeah, I think
just-
we
did
talked about it
Okay.
last.
We'll
So
leave
here's
it
the thing:
there.
like, just because Cam Ward is the best of the options out there for the Titans in 2025,
Yeah.
does not mean that he is the best quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at. Like, I like Cam Ward. I like Shedeur Sanders. I like Sam Darnold. I have very little faith that any of those options solve your quarterback problem long term. But everybody is dealing in such absolutes that they don't understand. It's like, no, you don't understand. So you remember patience over panic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's panicking.
Mhm.
This is, and I'm not to say that people who like Cam Ward over Shedeur or people who like Cam Ward as number one overall pick or think he's worthy do not think that, there you go. Look at that. That's a good throw.
I got good
throw and
hands.
catch.
Hey, come
Well,
on.
you didn't throw it. I don't know why you immediately complimented your own hands. I said it was a good throw.
And I said it was a good catch.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, you couldn't just say it was a good throw, too?
It was a good throw. I was adding on.
All right. All right.
It was like we could. That's
Yeah.
future Aikman to Irvin right there.
There you go. So to me, it's like everybody's panicking, and because everybody's panicking over the quarterback situation of the Tennessee Titans, that what the media tells them is the clear-cut best option in the draft means it's the only option for the Tennessee Titans in 2025. And that's not true. The NFL does not view it that way.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
It feels like a bunch of panic balls out
Yeah.
there.
It's almost like I don't know, and maybe we're guilty of this because we've talked about a lot of different quarterback options on this show. Like Matthew Stafford, that domino has fallen. Derek Carr looks like that domino's fallen.
It's like desperation meets panic.
So as these names are being crossed off the list, because, I mean, this week, I don't know how you feel about it, but the reports coming out feel an awful lot to me like they're kind of cooling off on Sam Darnold. Like they're not really expected to go make a push for him.
Well,
And if that's another domino to fall, I mean,
Yeah.
we are kind of sitting here like, well, shit, who is going to be the Titans quarterback in 2025? And maybe that is where you start seeing some of the obsession with Cam Ward coming
but
into play.
no one else allows for the other possibilities, right? Like, because I talk positively about Sam Darnold, everybody thinks that, oh, well, you are pro Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold
Yeah.
or bust.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily what I am. I am open. I am Sam curious. I am Cam curious. I am Shedeur sexual, I think.
Shedurious.
Yeah, no, I'm Shedeur sexual.
Okay.
Yeah, like I know I like Shedeur. I'm not
I'm
curious.
I'm with you.
So I look at like I am open to all these ideas because there's a logical path to success for every single one, right?
Yeah.
Every single choice creates a domino effect.
Yeah.
We've seen it across, Doctor Strange holding up the one. We've seen it in Back to the Future. We've seen it in everywhere, all at once. Looper. Like we've seen where one decision changes everything, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I look at it like, okay, if they love Cam, here's the path forward. If they love Shedeur, here's the path forward. If they want to go spend money on Sam, here's the path forward. And listen, PK's reporting on the Sam Darnold thing and TD's reporting on the Sam Darnold thing. So TD reported $30 million range. They would be in. Easton says the staff would be in on Sam Darnold. PK. We're going to start calling PK. PK said that, they're out on a long-term expensive deal. Okay, all those things can be true at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The staff is not in charge of the contract or the term. They're in charge of saving their job. I agree. Sam Darnold's probably the best choice, and I would be in on Sam Darnold. And not just Sam Darnold alone if I am them, but I'd be in on Sam Darnold. I look at what TD and PK said about the money. Okay, yeah, $30 million, and I'm writing about this for stackingtheinbox.com. $30 million, isn't that expensive?
No, it's not. Where would that put him?
That would put him at like 18th highest paid quarterback.
That's what I was thinking, like mid-range, yeah.
So, that actually is probably a steal at that point.
Yeah.
And are they out at $40 million? Sure. What's a long-term contract? Is it a 4-year fully guaranteed contract? I'm sure. But all these 4-year contracts are usually 2-year deals. So what does it all fucking mean? Like at some point, we have to understand that these sound like conflicting reports, but they're not. And it's much like the messaging coming from the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans say they're in a rebuild.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans say they want to compete.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think those ideas conflict with each other.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
And here's why. Because one of those things develops an attitude. The other one of those things is actually happening. And a rebuild is actually happening. Winning or wanting to be competitive is trying to establish a win now attitude.
Yeah.
Does not mean that you win, but you're establishing something in your culture. So these things do not conflict with each other. And I think that people think Sam Darnold is just a conflict, but it's not. It's really not a conflict.
I think on one, when you talk about a rebuild, I think that's probably more literally personnel related. It is like literally acquiring a roster. And when you talk about being competitive, they want to see the guys that they have instilling a culture and competing on the field. Because, what's the worst case scenario? You get a bunch of guys and you don't compete, and it's not progress for the team. So, multiple things can be true. I also think that you had a pretty good perspective on this. I think it was cover 2 earlier this week where you said they're not in a position to really lose here. Like
the only loss is not coming away with one of these 3 options, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, like, it just things have been turned to where if it's not one definitive path, it's wrong in the opinion of people in the chat.
Could you imagine NFL teams doing that? Well, sorry, this is the only path.
Yeah.
And then that path is gone, and then you're just sitting there like, oh, well, I'm fucked.
Yeah. So if you say, like, well, I want the Titans to trade back, then everybody assumes, well, you must hate Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And that's not true. It's just maybe you get more picks to do more team building. It's like, well, if you want Cam Ward, then you must not care about the totality of the roster.
Well, and we're talking about building this win-now culture, and it's something I talk about with Sam Darnold in the article coming out, but T-Man615 in the YouTube chat brings it up. We need someone to be a leader on this offense. And it's not that you just need someone. You need a quarterback.
Yeah.
You saw how much Sam Darnold meant to that locker room throughout the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Mason Rudolph is a nice guy, and I'm sure likely Will Levis is. I don't really know. But like at the end of the day, those guys did not exhibit leadership. Those guys weren't the guys you could turn to when the defense gave up a 4th and long for a touchdown. Those guys you couldn't turn to when someone missed your kicker missed a field goal. When returner muffed a punt. Those weren't the guys you could turn to and rely on and look at and say, this guy's going to take me down the field.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You don't luck into 14 fucking wins.
No.
I understand that. Listen, I'm not saying Sam Darnold is, the next football messiah. But you don't luck into 14 wins in the NFL.
No.
You have to be good. 2 freaking losses, months apart, weeks apart. We have to understand Sam Darnold is not as bad as you think he is.
No. I mean, 18th
And
best
again,
quarterback in the league.
I'm okay with 3 of these options.
Yeah.
And I have to clarify that because I know people will not listen to it. But, like, if you put in Sam Darnold last year, they win probably 5 more games. And you may think to yourself, well, what good is 5 more games? Well, it's proof of fucking concept, right, that we're on the right path. Right now, chickens with our heads cut off, wondering what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
We're just flailing around, just spraying blood everywhere. And because we have no clue what the hell's going on. So why can't Sam Darnold provide stability if you're not sold on one of these quarterbacks? But if you're sold on one of these quarterbacks, unless you get at that point, if you love Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders after the meetings this week before free agency, you demand 3 first-round picks, including the pick swap, because you should be drafting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But if they trade back, they're telling you they don't believe in those guys, and they got to buy some time. And the way to buy some time and some stability may be to go with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, while also providing an upgrade at the position. It's
Right.
like we still look at what the quarterback play was like for the Titans in 2024, and yes, Mason Rudolph kind of elevated the operation of the offense, but it still wasn't like average NFL quarterback play. And I know there were compounding circumstances that made it worse, but I don't know how people are so turned off by the idea of Sam Darnold, because I do think it's a viable option for this team.
Well, it's because of the losses, right?
Well, it's,
Okay.
I think it's the playoff loss specifically.
Well, I mean, I think it's the last 2 losses. You had 2 bad games back to back.
Yeah.
But also, at least they were in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Tough division.
There's a difference between, right. So they went 14-2 in the same division as the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers. Went 14-2 in the same conference as the Super Bowl champions. Went 14-2 in the same conference as Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Went 14-2.
Yeah.
Okay, you went 3-14. I get that you may not win a Super Bowl over the next 3 years if you were to sign Sam Darnold to a 3-year contract, and that, like, you may not get to the Super Bowl. Okay, that's fine. You're not getting to the Super Bowl with whatever fucking quarterback option you find in this hellhole of life in 2025.
Yeah.
You're not getting there in the next 3 years with Cam Ward. You may not even get there in the next 5 years. You're not getting there in the next 5 years with Shedeur Sanders. You're not getting there in the next 1 year with Justin Fields. You're not getting there with 2 years with James. It doesn't fucking matter what your calculus is. You're not going to the fucking Super Bowl in these next 3 years.
Well, there's a lot of people.
Let's fucking deal with it. So playoffs should be realistic expectations, because that's what you've seen C.J. Stroud do. That's what you've seen Jaden Daniels do. That's what you've seen the Vikings do. That's what you've seen the Packers do after they got rid of Aaron Rodgers went to Jordan Love. Like, that is your realistic expectation. Wouldn't you rather have that, or do you guys just want to wallow around in your own self-pity, just hoping to find the unicorn that's going to guide you into the light and get you a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Again, I'm okay. I'm open with all 3 options. I know it doesn't sound like that, but I hate the negativity around Sam Darnold and the illogical. It's just so illogical.
Yeah. I think the idea, at least what I get a lot in my mentions and stuff, is a lot of, like, oversimplification of where this team is at. Like, they are, like, you've got to get the quarterback. The quarterback is the you get a good quarterback like C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels, and you're right back in it. And I don't want to diminish what those guys did as rookies, because it was impressive, but there was a lot that went right for Washington last year. What did they have? Like 26 some odd free agent signings. They went out and they were a little more frugal, a little more prudent with their money. They got leadership guys, planted them all over the roster. They had a stabilizing factor, Dan Quinn at head coach, experienced offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury. They kind of it wasn't, maybe Jaden Daniels was the catalyst, the spark plug, so to speak, but I don't know how you can look at this Titans team and think right now, yes, they're in a position where if they got their spark plug at quarterback, those things would work for them too. And I think it's just an oversimplification to say, well, you go get your franchise quarterback. One, because I don't think it is just the franchise quarterback. I think it's the most important piece. But two, like, you're assuming that Cam or Shedeur are those franchise caliber quarterbacks too. And so I think there's two potential pitfalls with that idea that people just, I don't know, are just like so committed to, won't let go of. Sam Darnold's not that guy, so why would we waste our time with him?
And look, I understand the math, right? So, like, if you pay for Sam Darnold, listen, Sam Darnold's not going for $40 million or more unless the Raiders just get, like, fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. He is Baker Mayfield. Like, that to me is what you're getting.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield's getting paid $33.3 million per year, a 3-year, $100 million contract.
Yeah.
Which, again, puts him at 18th. He's outplayed that contract in year one. We'll see what the next 2 years are, but that's what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't Sam Darnold do that? Because let me say something. If people want to talk about surroundings and all that kind of stuff, well, these surroundings are worse. Okay, I get it. What about the 2022 Panthers, where he just fucking mopped the floor with Baker Mayfield's stats, performance on the field, everything, with the same scheme, with the same people and the same players, the same supporting cast. He fucking rocked.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. Not even close. Okay? Not even close. The same situation, because everybody's like, well, and I get this discussion and I get this point of view, because everybody's like, well, Baker Mayfield's been better over this period of time. If you would have swapped Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold their rookie year and gave Sam Darnold what Baker Mayfield had to go through over at Cleveland and gave Baker Mayfield what he had to go through at New York, I think we know who would have came out looking better. Yeah. Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Because look at Zach Wilson. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Mike White. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at Geno Smith. New York fucking sucks for a young quarterback. It sucks for an old quarterback. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know who he was thrown to? Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson. Sam Darnold, rookie year.
How old at the time?
Oh, I don't even know. I didn't even bother looking up their age. But, like, that's who he's throwing to.
I feel like that was like...
He had Isaiah Crowell as his leading running back.
Yeah.
Like, let's put shit into perspective. And then not only did he have Todd Bowles, who was already in over his head as a first time. Listen, a retread head coach that has shown great success. He was in over his head with Sam Darnold. Then they fire Todd Bowles. Second year, he has to get fucking Adam Gase, who can't even work an Uber Eats, who has to call his wife while she's out with her friends at a bar while he's sitting at home to get Uber Eats ordered.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I don't think people understand, and we really should, right? Because like I said, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson are two young quarterbacks. Go back to Geno Smith. Something stinks in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, Cleveland is not that much better. But Kevin Stefanski, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr., Amari Cooper, the stuff they did around Baker Mayfield was 100 times better. And also, he was younger. Sam Darnold was younger. So when you put him in the same situation, Sam Darnold's better. Clear as day. He was better in 2022, no doubt. And then when Baker Mayfield pouted and asked to be cut and then got picked up by the Rams, those last few weeks when they were going head-to-head, when he was with the Rams, when Darnold was with the Panthers, guess who was better?
Who?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
So my question becomes, does the NFL and the media value too much and throw out the situation with Sam Darnold? Because, again, you don't luck into 14 wins. Even now, I would say that Tampa Bay has a better supporting cast than Minnesota does. Think about their a better offensive line.
Definitely.
I think last year Tampa Bay had a better run game, and they have the better top 2 wide receivers.
Yeah. So you're talking Godwin and Evans together over Jefferson, Addison?
Yeah. Who had the easier division?
Tampa Bay.
Okay. Who had the most wins?
Minnesota. Yeah.
Hello? Is this thing on? Like, what is everybody doing? Am I taking crazy pills?
No, I think we're – and it's – I don't know. Is it unreasonable to say that his tenure with the Jets, marred by the infamous clip of him saying, "I'm seeing ghosts out there," if that never happens, what do you think the perception of Darnold is? Because, I mean, that was so damning. And I remember the talk show circuits after that just being like, oh, this is, the final nail in the coffin. Like, you can't do anything with this guy. And it feels like from there, the guy was just never given a real chance in the court of public opinion anyway to develop and mature. Because I didn't, I haven't watched all the tape on Sam Darnold or anything like that, but just watching games, remembering back to his early days when he did seem a little shell-shocked, a little behind the speed of the NFL game, and a little out of his depths. I watch him with the Vikings, and I don't see that guy at all. And that, to me, that level of comfort, command of the offense, that doesn't really have much to do with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and this fantastic Vikings offensive line that everybody thinks they have.
Yeah, which is a terrible offensive line.
Like, you just watch him run the offense, make the plays, and it looks like a guy that, to me, turned a corner when he got an opportunity and has developed and grown a level of comfort with NFL speed, and sometimes it just takes guys a little bit longer to get there. Clearly has the talent to hang around a roster for this long, gets a starting job, excels. Like, why are we're so quick to say fool's gold, and I just don't think it's fair to him for all the growth and the progress that he's made as a quarterback.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the thing that gets me is like it's illogical.
Yeah,
the hate of Sam Darnold is purely illogical. It's media driven, and I'm not a big believer in that a lot of the times. Like Tutu Atwell got paid $10 million. Fully guaranteed. He fucking sucks. I don't care what JT says, and I don't care what Mike Garafolo says, like, oh man, this is the market for speedy wide receivers. What, speedy wide receivers that catch like 2 touchdowns a season? Like, give me a fucking break.
I mean, 10 million's rich for him, but he doesn't suck. Come on.
Yeah,
Come
he
on.
Does. I mean, he's pretty.
If you need your fifth option speed guy,
he is Jaquan Jackson on Ozempic. Like that guy, he fucking sucks. To me, I look at it as I just don't get that. Again, it goes back to why I get so worked up over Shedeur Sanders. Mm-hmm. I don't get the fucking hate.
Yeah.
And the hate has ulterior motives. Because if you turn on the film tells you something different.
Yeah.
And if you start breaking down and all this stuff, and I get it. Again, he choked in the 2 big games. Well, Cam Ward, he's beaten 1 top 25 team since he's been at Washington State.
Yeah.
He's like 1-11 against top 25 teams. Well, but he's not choked, right? Like, he doesn't choke in big games. But when he doesn't have to give a shit about a Pop-Tart bowl, he sure does look fucking great.
Yeah. It's like everybody's like, well, look at all the comebacks and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of those holes were dug by Cam Ward throwing interceptions, making turnover-worthy plays that put the team in the position to get out of.
Yeah. I just look at it and I go, I don't understand the unnecessary hate because, when you start taking into account, like, for Sam Darnold versus Baker Mayfield in 2022, when you take in stats that factor into in opponents and stuff like that, adjusted EPA per attempt and QBR, adjusted EPA for attempt, negative 0.153 per pass for Baker Mayfield. That adjusts for your competition, that adjusts for your situation, and all that kind of stuff. For Sam Darnold, with the same fucking cast of characters, and remember, it adjusts for garbage time. It adjusts for opponents. All that stuff. Takes the offensive line out of it. Plus 0.169. That's over 100% increase in the same situation.
Yeah.
With the same cast. It's quarterback. Like, guys, look at what Sam Darnold did last year versus what Tampa Bay did last year. I do not understand. There is no difference between the two.
Yeah.
Except for I think that Sam Darnold, likely because of his age, has a little bit more upside. I think he has a little bit more arm talent. But they are the same quarterback. And Baker Mayfield is not overpaid. He just threw for over 4,300 yards. He just led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 years in a row into the playoffs.
Career resurgence of his own.
I mean, a career resurgence of his own. I'm not trying to make a case that, like, Sam Darnold's light years ahead of Baker Mayfield. You have fucking Will Levis. That's what you got.
Yeah.
You may get Cam Ward, but this is mystery box territory.
Mm-hmm.
Fans right now are Peter Griffin. Well, we got the mystery box. You could either have a boat or you could have a mystery box. Well, the mystery box, it could be anything. It could even be a boat. Well, that's true. Cam Ward could be Baker Mayfield, who Sam Darnold also is.
Yeah.
He may be cheaper, but there's also a good chance that he is nothing. Because that's how the bust rate is over 50% for first-round quarterbacks, guys.
Or if he is going to be something, he might not be something for like 3 more years. Sam Darnold is a guy you can bring in, plug and play, ready to go.
Look, I look at this,
and I like Cam Ward too.
Yeah,
by the way,
we
I like
Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And again, we'll get into the Shedeur Sanders talk here in just a second, because it just all this stuff. It's just, and I understand, and I don't know why this season is bothering me more than others. Maybe it's because I'm doing a radio show every day.
Well, also,
and it's driving me nuts with the stuff that I see, because I could only get glimpses of this in Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But it's magnifying. It's like, where's the fucking logic?
Well, you got to think too. I was thinking about this earlier today, trying to figure out, like, why is everybody so crazy about this draft cycle? It's been a while since the Titans were in the situation where they were picking this early, and also all signs pointed to them needing a quarterback. We had Ryan Tannehill for a while. They took Marcus in 2015, and it hasn't really been, I don't think.
Fans don't want to end up like the Steelers, Zach. This is what someone just told me.
The Steelers.
I'd fucking murder you right now if you could guarantee me the Steelers' success.
Yeah, man.
They haven't had a losing season, right? In 25 years. Can you look that up, Jackson? But I would fucking murder you. I would murder Jackson, and I would parade your heads all the way down Broadway like a Vanderbilt goalpost.
Yeah.
I would want to be the Steelers.
This is like Alabama fans.
What are we doing? You don't want to be the Steelers?
Man.
You're the fucking Browns right now. You don't want to be the Steelers?
It's like,
sorry, Stevie. I love Stevie because he's a good guy on the YouTube chat and he's always on there. But what?
It's like Alabama fans when Nick Saban loses in the national championship, they want him fired.
Yeah, it's just
I would, man.
That's gonna fucking that's the kind of stuff that carries with me. And I'll just be sitting there and I'll be watching TV and I'll be thinking of we don't want to be the Steelers. I'll be like,
man,
it'll just
it's crazy because everybody's chasing the Kansas City Chiefs. For a while it was the 49ers, that sort of thing. But the Steelers really have the model in I heard Ramon on 3HL calling in talking about this a little bit today, and he was kind of talking about, if you notice, like through the ages, they have a guy and they just get the next guy waiting in the wing and they all look alike. It's like from James Harrison to like TJ Watt and I forget the example he gave, Lamar Woodley to like Alex Highsmith.
Oh, yeah.
Like they've got a prototype and they build and they find these guys and they draft the next guy while the first guy is in his prime. And then by the time he falls off, the next guy can just step up, take his spot. And it's like cogs in a machine, man. The whole thing keeps turning.
Steelers
Like,
fans don't know how good they got it.
That's the way to build, man.
Yes.
They've been good for how many years? Oh, that's
Well,
boy.
Eddie's talking about like half my extended family is Steelers fans, and they want Tomlin gone, and they want to tank.
well. See, that's
Let me tell you something. No, you fucking don't.
but that's
like,
also
can I say just real quick? No, you don't, because you are going. The chances are that you are going to find someone as good as Mike Tomlin and Bill Cowher.
yeah.
Good fucking luck.
I think that is the privilege of. Oh boy, I don't want to.
Hold on, real quick. Jackson, when's the last time they had a losing season?
2003. In 2003, the top song was "Into Club" by 50 Cent, and the number one movie was "The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers."
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Steelers fans. Can we just? I mean, like, think about that.
That
2003 was their last losing season. That would have been my freshman year of college.
Yeah, and they won a Super Bowl since then, and they had been to a second one, if I'm not mistaken.
They've won two Super
Yeah,
Bowls and
two
been
Super Bowls.
05 and 08. Yeah, 05 and 08 they won, and then 2010.
Santonio Holmes got the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Like, it's ridiculous. I understand at a point like things get stale, but you know who else got stale and how this franchise has never recovered? Jeff Fisher.
Yeah,
And listen, Jeff Fisher is nowhere near. Sorry if you're listening. Nowhere near the coach of Mike Tomlin.
you think Jeff Fisher's an F words fan?
Maybe I could see it. We may be too intense for his California vibes, but like,
Yeah.
let's be
It's-
fucking real. Like, you guys, you're if you're a Steelers fan that wants Mike Tomlin gone, I hope he leaves, and I hope you guys are fucking miserable
Just
the rest of your
bottom out.
life.
It is the privilege of a spoiled fan base to be tired of winning.
Yeah.
Tired of winning. I'd give anything for
I'm
the
not
Titans
40
to be like
yet,
the Steelers.
JD. I'm just we're approaching it. Don't age me too much yet.
I'm 38, man. 1 foot in the grave, practically.
But like, I look at it like, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, again, I hate, to pick on Stevie here, but like,
Yeah, poor Stevie. Stevie
I know,
should've
but like this
held that
sets
one
me
in.
off. Like, this is like Chiefs fans that complain about everything right now.
Yeah.
And as an Alabama fan, like, I don't complain. I
don't
I
either.
can't.
Bullshit.
I do not. Well, I complained about basketball, but I don't like Jalen
Hold
Milrow.
on.
But I also understand that I've been very privileged, but I've also been through the muck and the mire.
Yeah.
Like, between Gene Stalling and Nick Saban
That
was a
rough.
fucking hellscape.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare scenario where you're getting your fingernails plucked out and you're still awake.
Yeah. If I can call timeout, there's also a difference between complaining and talking shit. So
Yeah, that is true as well. So we've gone really off the rails. I don't even really know where to go back.
we're just
Like,
venting
everybody's like,
about-
I'm tired of middling seasons. You haven't even had middling seasons for the majority of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
What-
that's
I
the
mean,
thing. Like,
but
you've
the-
either been really good, really shitty, and then you had like 2 or 3 years where you were
Yeah.
like 9-7.
I mean, we just got off of like what it was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 years of like borderline playoff
Yeah.
contention to AFC championship appearance. Like 6
But
years
that's
of that.
middling, Stoney.
But that's middling. Like I know people are tired of it, but like
Only one team out of 32 can
32
win the Super Bowl. Only 2 teams out of 32 get to even fucking make it to the Super Bowl. So what they're essentially saying is, through that 6-year span, every team that didn't win a Super Bowl is middling.
Yeah.
The problem is that they didn't do what the Steelers did in preparing for the future.
boom. Yeah. I don't want to sound preachy, but I do think like it's worth reminding people that we as fans have no control over the outcomes on the field. And I don't feel like it's a very healthy place to be like demanding Super Bowls for something that you have no control over. And I try to remind people every once in a while not to lose sight of why we're fans. It's a community. We have each other. It's a social event. It is something we can bond over. We don't have to win Super Bowls to have that. And I just, it's not worth ripping into each other over this, over the takes.
Well, let's make people really mad now that we talked about Sam Darnold. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Did you listen to 3HL on the way in today?
No. Don't ask me that question ever on the air again because I feel bad.
Well, no, but
they're probably not listening to Football Under the F Word. So no, I did not listen to 3HL today.
Well, I don't want to dox you or anything, but like sometimes you're at an establishment having a cold one before the show.
Well, I was.
And so, that's a reasonable excuse to miss a show, in my opinion. But they had some, I shouldn't say that. They
Jabroni?
I was going to say, no, I'm not going to say it. Somebody called in and basically said, Jeff Fisher said the Titans should trade back. And I think that's the way to go because we don't need some flashy quarterback here. And I'll give Dawn credit. She held him accountable. She's like, who are you talking about? Name names. And he was like, that would be Mr. Sanders. And I'm just like, God, these people, like, it just sounds so personal. It's weird.
Well, you've been busy this week with your real job.
Yeah, I have. I've been getting my shit kicked
so
in.
yesterday we got into a big, I guess, tirade or discussion where we're just like that. You want brash and arrogant, as a quarterback.
Titans could use that.
Like, look at Levis and Rudolph. They weren't brash or arrogant. They're just bad quarterbacks. And you know what? When the chips were down, they couldn't turn to them to try to drag them up.
Yeah, for real.
But you want a guy that wants to be competitive. You want a guy that thinks he's the best.
Yeah.
If you have a quarterback that doesn't think he is the hottest shit since sliced bread, then you don't want him.
I think
I was about to say you don't want to do something else, but don't you want a guy that thinks he's better than an air fryer?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same conversation we had
Joe
about
Blacko's right. Levis had fake confidence.
Fake confidence.
I think
like
I don't know if I would say fake, but I would say that his confidence is fraudulent.
Very well then. It's like the conversation with Anthony Belton. Everybody's like, well, do you take a guy with character concerns? He spit in a guy's face. And I'm like, I kind of feel like the Titans could use a guy that's going to spit in somebody's face.
Well, who's the dude that swung on took his helmet off and swung on somebody last year at the Senior Bowl? Was that Mason Taylor?
Jordan Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. We were all about some Jordan Jefferson.
I think it was Jordan Jefferson.
It's like we were like 5th or 6th round. Draft Jordan Jefferson. Let him just fucking hammer some people with the helmet.
Christian Haynes, man. Christian Haynes is good guard. He was clamping down on him, and he was like, nah, I'm not going to let you get me, so I'm going to take my helmet off and swing it. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Everybody's like, oh, he's plummeting down boards after he swung a helmet. And I'm in the crowd like, nah, hell yeah. Like, do it again.
And listen, and we said it yesterday, Cam Ward has it too in spades.
Yeah, he does.
Right? Like,
he does.
Both of these guys, but Shedeur gets it. You know what the difference between Shedeur and Cam in getting the hate?
What?
The last name. The people who think the last name is beneficial, it's secretly beneficial for Shedeur Sanders because he knows how to handle the process. He knows what to expect and blah, blah, blah. But the hate that he gets,
yeah.
I heard today, TD was talking about it today, and he said, like he knows there are people out there, He knows because he has been told that people out there, when he asks them why they don't like Shedeur Sanders, they bring up Deion's name. Give me a fucking break.
Man, I tell you what, if the Titans big brain this whole thing and they're able to trade down, pick up an extra first, and still get Shedeur Sanders.
Whew. Well, you know what everybody will say? Well, they didn't like Shedeur Sanders enough to draft him at 1.
Yeah, and never mind the mastermind big brain moves.
Yeah, that won't matter.
Yeah, no, that's like, there's a part of me that is like watching everything happening, and I'm just kind of like, that is an outcome that I don't think enough people are talking about.
Joe Burrow smoking cigars is no different than Shedeur Sanders holding up a watch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, Joe had that kind of arrogance about him.
Well, he's also a
Perceived
serial
arrogance.
killer. I'm pretty sure. Like, if
Yeah.
I could see him, you know, he has a basement with saran wrap around everywhere and a kill table and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He is Dexter. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to bet money that any football player
Yeah.
in the NFL was a serial killer, I'd bet everything on Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair
Not
enough.
Will Levis?
No, he's not smart enough to get not get caught by the cops.
So we need people that spit in faces, that swing helmets,
Yeah.
that show their watches, and that are serial killers.
I mean, don't we want some attitude?
We do. We do.
We got these lame, like Jeffrey Simmons is about the most attitude you get, and he's just only mean at practice. It feels
Buck.
like, yeah, and to Buck.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's so online. But like, I think the best wide receivers have diva to them. They
Yeah.
all think they're the best wide receiver, right? Ask Jamar Chase who the best wide receiver is. Well, can I choose myself? Same with Justin Jefferson. Same with A.J. Brown. Like, that's what you need.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
this team has, as much as J-Rob has done well at the beginning of his tenure, he never drafted guys like that. And the one guy he did, A.J. Brown, he traded away because he couldn't handle the ego. So you got to find guys that like Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, and all those guys. They have killer ego mentalities. You don't get as high as you do at this sport. You don't reach the heights without it, without thinking that you're the best or the drive to want to be the best.
Yeah.
And like, to me, it's on this team. I think Tavondre Sweat is one of those guys. I think Jarvis Brownlee Jr. maybe is one of those guys. L'Jarius Sneed is that guy, and Jeffrey Simmons is that guy.
Yeah.
J.C. Latham is that guy. Everybody else, I have a hard time figuring out, do they really feel they're the best? Like, do they do that?
Can I nominate Tony Pollard for that conversation too?
I think you could.
don't
I think it's a
he's
little
like-
bit harder for a running back to have those vibes unless you're like getting 2,000 yards. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I don't think he's like the vocal rah-rah attitude guy, but the way that he runs, and specifically last year, the way he ran for a shitty team was like, man, that guy's like, he's got that.
I could see that.
He's got that attitude. He's got that edge to him.
Yeah. I look at it and I go, where you don't have that the most important spot, and that's quarterback.
Yeah. And
really, as much as I defend and like Ryan Tannehill, you haven't had that guy since Steve McNair.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's unreasonable to say at all, but.
And that's the most important position in football, because that's the guy you look to when the chips are down.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've really had that guy at quarterback.
I think the two guys in this draft class, at the top of this draft class,
are those guys.
do have that attitude. Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at their history, right? So let's start with Cam Ward, everybody's favorite and the only option that anybody will ever consider.
Yeah.
0-star recruit because he was in a wing T offense in high school. They averaged in high school 14 passes a game. 0-star recruit.
Yeah.
Had to go to settle for Incarnate Word because nobody wanted him. He went into the office as soon as he got there to the coach and said, hey, you tell me what I need to do to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
You tell me what work I have to do. And now he's about to go from 0-star recruit to number 1 overall pick. You look at Shedeur Sanders. He sacrificed going to Jackson State, right? He could have probably gone somewhere else.
For sure.
He went to Jackson State.
He did go. Did he? Was it FAU?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So Jackson State, 2 years at Jackson State, built up that program. Went to an 0-12 Colorado team with his dad, helped to build up that program.
Yeah.
He was an excellent teammate by all accounts. Took people out on his own dime to go train down in Miami or go train to Vegas or something like that, right? Like, he is that dude. He is a competitor. He's genetic. Like, he's genetically wired to be a competitor.
And the more of that Colorado tape you watch, like, that offense is just a total hot mess.
Oh man,
protection.
have you seen what JT O'Sullivan said?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
but it's
I'll pull it up.
you watch the tape and it's just like it is Shedeur and Travis Hunter like willing that offense to success. And I can't tell you how many games I watched that I thought, how the fuck did this Colorado team win as many games as they did? And I think it's that connection, that mentality that guys like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter had.
So he did the pluses and minuses, and I guess I don't know. This must be on like Snapchat or Instagram or something.
Okay, this is JT O'Sullivan.
Yeah, JT O'Sullivan. He said he's polished, pluses, polished, base balance, pocket movement when keeps and resets base, accuracy, short, quick game when moving up, tough, processes, gets to check downs, skips read. Vision, some nice hole throws or rails.
Got buckets.
Extends sometimes. Question marks. So many throws at or near line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Default retreat backwards. So,
yes,
you know,
bailing
he's
out
a
of the
big
back of the
drifter.
pocket.
Big drifter out the back. A little trip, lowercase a versus a capital A.
Anticipatory throws, like the lowercase is not good anticipator, the uppercase is good, but I don't know what that means. How he said it's versus?
Yeah.
So is he saying he's not a good anticipatory thrower?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a foreign language.
Then he goes holds ball, sacks / hero ball, which is something Shedeur Sanders said.
Yeah.
I guess without 12 means without Travis Hunter. You know, maybe what's the question there?
Well, I don't know. No, go ahead. That's stupid. What I was about to say is stupid.
In my opinion, on drive throws, loses energy up versus rotational arm strength outside numbers. So those are pros and cons.
Yeah.
So then he goes to the coordinator of the offense and actually adds in notes.
Oh boy.
Offense is offensive.
It's a hot mess.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's not pro style at all.
I think it wants to be, but it can't be.
Static, little to no motion or shifts.
Yeah.
Open edges, no tight ends.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. When he said no 12, I was thinking maybe he means no 12 personnel.
Oh, maybe.
But when he
Isn't
said,
Travis Hunter number 12, though?
he is number 12.
Okay.
So 12 personnel is like 2 tight ends, but they don't even put 1 tight end out there a lot. Like it's just tackle to tackle in a lot of their formations.
And we're going to try and get JT O'Sullivan on the show at some point. I got him on my list of
that would be sick.
guests.
That would
but
be
he
sick.
says open edges, no tight ends, no run game, which we have covered.
Yeah.
You know, we never even really dove into the no tight ends situation. I
Yeah,
didn't even think about that.
It's crazy. Your offensive line sucks, but like,
so it's 5. It's because you're going. Yeah, it's crazy.
And then sometimes they'll put like one of the wide receivers in, and it's like these guys can't block. Like you've got to get them in space and get them the ball because it's the only shot you have of making plays.
So let's think about this just real quick.
Yeah,
just real quick. I don't even know a tight end from Colorado.
They have one.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they do.
It exists.
Yeah. I know they have a running back that's never gotten over 400 yards.
Yeah.
So no run game, no tight ends. It's just Shedeur Sanders.
And your offensive line stinks.
And your offensive line stinks. It's just Shedeur Sanders and the wide receivers out there just fucking hoping and prayer because the defense isn't good either.
Yeah, you watch the tape and you're like, how did this team win so many games? And that should speak to Shedeur Sanders' capabilities.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So no run game is where we left off. Offensive line rough. Really struggle with stunts in games. Well, that may not improve here. Limited number of plays / concepts. So that means that they're running almost the same playbook almost every week.
Well, it is like they've just got to get the ball out quick and they've got to get it in space.
Yeah.
That's why you see all these screens and shit.
Little pocket movement. So very little pocket movement. That means that the pocket is not him.
Yeah.
The pocket isn't moving.
Yeah.
So like in certain plays, your pocket is supposed to move to help protect the quarterback and maybe generate more time. It's not doing that. The screen and near line of scrimmage dominate the play. And he says, OMG, number 31. Who's number 31?
I don't know who 31 is. One of the running backs, maybe?
Maybe. So what do you think of that assessment of the Colorado offense while we were talking about it.
I think it's pretty spot on, and that's why like there's a part of me that I think we talked about it on this show in our Shedeur Sanders episode where it's like bless Pat Shurmur's heart. Like he
well, you
did,
can see why he's probably not coming back to the NFL anytime soon.
He did.
Apparently that's one of the tight ends, number 31.
Okay.
Savell Smalls.
Okay.
I would love to know what play he watched.
I would too. Yeah. I think Pat Shurmur like did what he had to do to find success. And I give him credit because I feel like he found the only possible path for them to be a halfway decent offense with the personnel that he had.
Yeah, I mean,
which again, we go back to it should speak volumes about Shedeur Sanders that Colorado was even in the Big 12 championship race as late as they were.
I look at it like this. I still fucking love Shedeur.
I do too, and I'm tired of pretending
I can't help
don't.
it. I'm a Shedeur sexual.
Yeah.
Like, I look at the tape. I watch the tape. I look at it in a vacuum. Kurt Warner has talked about it. Dan Orlovsky has talked about it. Looking at it in a vacuum, and I see a first-round player. Do I necessarily see a generational player? Do I necessarily see the best quarterback of the last 3 drafts or anything like that? No.
Yeah.
And I'm not really advocating for Shedeur Sanders number 1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that Shedeur Sanders gets a lot more hate because of his name and because he may not be the ideal representative of the NFL quarterback position as what many coaches and fans want to see.
And you can see where, too, if that sentiment is out there and he's got seasoned PR people on the case that are like, oh, we've got to beat this narrative. We've got to spin things a certain way. If he goes out at the combine and he's talking to these teams and it sounds very contrived and rehearsed, that could turn them off. But really, it's just part of a plan to try and endear him to teams that they're going to call him phony, you know? Like, is it his fault for trying to get this right, so to speak? That's what I'm trying to get at here. And is it so bad that it negates what we saw on tape?
Because, I mean, you look at it, it's just like, okay, well, if you're running for your life every time, you're going to develop bad habits.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, I look at it with Shedeur Sanders on the pressure to sack ratio, his bailing on just going backwards.
Yeah.
Is like, there are some times where the defensive line is already in your lap by the time you even get the ball after its height.
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration.
No.
That is real.
Yeah.
And so I get that he had really great wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, for college.
Yeah.
I mean, you go around, I look at this, go around college and find a wide receiver group that deep.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like Travis Hunter, LaJohntay Wester, Will Shepard, and Jimmy Horn Jr.
Yeah.
That's a pretty unbeatable top 4, I feel like. And you may have you got Ohio State, right, with Jeremiah Smith and Emeka.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's after that? You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I was thinking about it in terms of the NFL draft, not in the context of the Big 12.
But what I'm saying is that, like, he had a really good wide receiver situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay to have.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was a quarterback, I would trade away those wide receivers to have a good offensive line situation.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, at that point, you are having to do stuff that nobody else is being asked to do. That is and you're trying to get it to one of the 4 wide receivers within, while you're trying to scramble for your life. Like, that's why I kind of look at it and I go, it's such a fucking mess.
Yeah.
When you watch the tape, but most of it is not Shedeur Sanders' fault.
And that's why I said when we did our Shedeur Sanders episode, I kind of felt like people were being too hard on him, saying he didn't have good feel in the pocket? Because for me, I watched him and thought, it seems like he feels the pressure coming, but he also knows, like, I've got to work a miracle back here for this offense to move. And so he's going to hold on to the ball till the very last second and just heave it up because he thinks that's what, like, to me, that's
He even said
the
it. He
source of
plays
the
hero ball. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the source of it to me, is not some like mental deficiency where like he can't tell somebody's rushing.
He knows that if he doesn't convert, Stoney,
Yeah.
his defense is not going to get a stop.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, man. Like there was the moment of frustration at the press conference when he said something about his offensive line, and people took that and ran with it too. And I agree, it's not a great look for him, but to me, I look at that and think, okay, there's evidence there that he is doing everything he can and probably feels pretty frustrated by the situation.
Okay, so no, the Sam Darnold segment was not the free agency preview. It's a little bit different.
Oh God, we have a free agency preview. How long have we been talking?
About an hour. Okay, so just real quick.
Okay.
I thought Nick Suss said some stuff today on Cover 2 that coincided with what Jeremy Fowler and Teron Davenport reported earlier this week, and stuff that we've talked about, Easton has talked about, and all this stuff.
Nick Suss is a smart guy.
He is. But everybody seems to be resigned to the fact that there's a slim margin for error of not landing Cam Ward or Sam Darnold in this case. Let's just say, I'm going to say Cam Ward, but it's Cam Ward and Shedeur.
Yeah.
And that they may end up running it back with Will Levis. They may end up with Jameis Winston or Drew Lock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
So if you lose out on Sam Darnold, or maybe you're not even interested in Sam Darnold, and you're not interested in really Cam Ward, aren't you just basically saying that everybody in Nashville should go over to wherever Brian Callahan lives and help his family pack up a U-Haul? Because at this point, it's like if you want to win and be competitive, convincingly competitive, let's just say that, convincingly competitive, even in a loss, don't you need one of the 3 of those guys that we mentioned, Darnold? And to a lesser extent, you could probably fool enough people into thinking, well, Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins or someone like that. Yeah. But if you're trying to trot out Jameis Winston and Will Levis, the jokes will be great from Jameis. He'll be pure comedy. You'll have him and Bert Kershire, whatever his last name is. Shane Gillis, I'm sure Jelly Roll will love Jameis Winston. Like you'll have all the people that everybody loves.
Good for the content.
Yeah, it'll be great for the content. But good for the football team? Probably not.
Yeah.
And so at some point you're just basically saying, "Hey, Brian Callahan, start a GoFundMe. Let's get that couple U-Hauls rented out."
Yeah, I think that's a situation that, and when you look at the totality of where this team is at and that willingness to accept, well, I shouldn't say willingness to accept losing results, but willing to take your lumps for the greater good of building the team out a little more is not something, I don't feel like it's a spot where a lot of head coaches survive. And so that does kind of feel like the writing's on the wall at that point.
And even in drafting a rookie quarterback, it does not buy Brian Callahan more time without wins or without, again, convincing competitive games.
Yeah.
But not getting a quarterback and not getting Sam Darnold, a drafting a quarterback and not getting Sam Darnold really just feels like, it just really feels like they didn't want him to begin with. At some point you have to call a spade, and they're like, here, we want you to coach with one hand behind your back.
Well, that's like, I told you this the other day. I'm reading Ron Wolf's book. I know you're reading it too, to try and get a better understanding of.
I've been told to quit bringing up books. Apparently,
really?
Yeah.
Damn,
not by fans.
That sucks.
Not by anybody important.
That sucks. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, people should read them, like this is the organization that Chad Brinker came up through, and Ron Wolf has been, was he call him a mentor or idol
Yeah.
or whatever? So trying
the
to
OTP, one of our favorite episodes.
Yeah, trying to kind of get into the mindset of how Brinker could be approaching this job. We picked up a copy of the Packer Way by Ron Wolf. Got mine used off of Amazon, just so happened to be signed by Ron Wolf. That was pretty cool. But there's a line in
Jealous.
it. There's a line in it where he's talking about wanting to hire Mike Holmgren. And he's talking about getting winners. And there's a line in it about, well, if I can't get my guy, like you've got to be certain he's the guy to hire him and to put him in that job. And he mentions just kind of almost like a cast aside line, like a throwaway line. Like I was thinking, well, should I just hire an interim head coach until we figure this thing out and can get the guy that we love? And I read that line and was like, oh my God, is Chad Brinker looking at Brian Callahan as like an interim coach? If this is trickle down knowledge, I'm like, oh my God, is this what's happening right now? The way, they didn't reset at the leadership positions. We were kind of critical about that, firing Rand Carthon and running it back with Brian Callahan. But then I think, it does kind of make sense because he has experience with the
you
guys
are
there.
way less critical because at when we did that episode right here, you were trying really hard to like say basically like I got faith in Brian Callahan,
I do.
and I don't think that Brian Callahan's really on the hot seat as much. Now you kind of feel like it's a little bit different, right?
Well, yeah, new information, all that. You have to be willing to roll with the punches, so to speak. And the more things play out, the more I think it looks a little more dire for Brian. And that's unfortunate because I do think he's a good coach, and I do have faith that if he gets time, he will turn it around. It's just a matter of whether he has time or not. And I still think there is some doubt as to how everybody at the top feels about his performance. So that's why I brought that up, was like, oh my gosh, could he be like serving as this interim guy because he has experience in the room, he's been there before, and it buys you a little bit of time to start the rebuild on the roster. And then when you feel like you're on the cusp of something, maybe you haven't quite gotten there yet, you can look to him and say, he's been holding us back, and now we're ready for the real thing to take the next step.
I go back to Matt Eberflus, right? Lame duck head coach.
Yeah.
Got Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams had an up and down year. They were competitive in some games. They beat the Tennessee Titans, like that's some big thing. But and all that stuff. He gets fired. Now he makes egregious mistakes, but he was going to get fired by the end of the season, regardless, because they weren't winning games. Now, maybe the way that this front office is structured right now, and I think the messaging they're giving ownership, the idea that this is, we saw the admission by Chad Brinker in Nick Suss's article, this is a 3 to 4 year rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
This does not mean that they cannot win and be competitive. They're just in a rebuild. They're replenishing and rebuilding a roster. Does not mean that maybe if Cam Ward looks good or Shedeur Sanders looks good, but that is the thing. Like, they have to look good. They have to win games. And if they're not looking good and they win games, that still may buy them time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, that is really hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Drake May looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. Lost it, and then he still lost his job, even though he looked good, right? Caleb Williams looked all right, lost his job. At the same time, you got to have proof of concept and everything moving in the right direction. And one thing or the other, I don't think is enough. I think you have to be convincingly competitive in 80% of your games. I think you have to win a lot of division games. And I think if you have a rookie quarterback, they also have to look good.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get dragged by your defense to victories while your rookie quarterback looks like crap with an offensive head coach and expect to survive.
Yeah. I'm going to finish charting his offense in that book, and then he's going to get fired, and I'll just have wasted a book and all that time.
Yeah. You're almost writing a death note.
Yeah. No, it's a tricky spot to be in. I don't envy Brian Callahan right now because I get grilled for it, but I do think there's plenty of good. There's reason for optimism with him.
Yeah, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I'm not saying rookie of the year. You have to just you guys just have to understand. And maybe it's a little bit hard for me to put it in words, but everything is stacked against Brian Callahan.
Yeah.
So if you're a Brian Callahan, you may need to go ahead and just set yourself up that he's not going to be here.
Yeah.
I hope Brian Callahan is here next year because I want to be proven right about who I think he is as a coach, as a person,
big same.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also, my heart and my brain are two totally separate entities. Yeah. And my brain is telling me that, guys, this isn't going to end well for Brian Callahan. The path is there, right? It's not like there's no path anywhere on the map to get to a final destination of keeping your job in 2026. It's just that you are basically being able to only look at half the path, and whichever one is chosen for you, because the path is chosen for him right now.
Yeah.
If it's Justin Fields and he's not really on board with Justin Fields, that creates friction. And that's probably going to result in a loss. If it's Sam Darnold and he's all in on Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold at the very least is Carolina Panthers Sam Darnold, he's probably going to be able to keep his job because that version of Sam Darnold would have won you 5 more games last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's a rookie quarterback, and it's not the rookie quarterback he wants, and they have trouble adapting to his strengths and stuff, then he's probably not going to be here. If it's a rookie quarterback and the rookie quarterback is just Will Levis and he looks like a fucking idiot like Will Levis does and everything else looks fine except for him, he's probably still fired.
Yeah.
Because right now, his lifeline is tied to whatever quarterback is going to be taking snaps in 2025.
Yeah. That's what it certainly looks like. Can I just say before we move on, it feels like we are sinking further and further into the couches.
It does. That is the problem with these comfortable couches because they're super comfortable.
Not a flattering angle.
Yeah, it's a terrible angle. So to me, Brian Callahan, everything is stacked against him.
Yeah.
And so everybody just kind of needs to get on board with that train of thought right now that I'm still of the fact that unless they win at least 9 games, I'm not sure he has a job next year.
Ooh,
and I know that's tough to say because I'm not sure that some of these wins are going to be convincingly competitive enough.
Yeah.
And when do these wins come as well? Because, when are they going to fall on the schedule? Are you going into the last 5 weeks? Or are you going into the bye or this or that and you have a losing record? Maybe he gets fired in the middle of the season. I don't know. But the odds are stacked against him.
How likely, because I think 7 has been a popular numbers. 7 wins, and he's good. But I look at that. And
I don't know.
How likely is it that they could even get to 7 wins? I've been kind of sitting back, watching everything unfold this offseason, going back, watching tape, kind of analyzing the roster, what the needs are, that sort of stuff. And I'm kind of trying to start conveying to people you might want to brace yourself that this team could still be pretty bad next year. And I don't mean rats, we're going to miss the playoffs. I mean, I think the New England Patriots are the only worst roster in the entire NFL. When you look at it from top to bottom.
I hear a lot of people say the New York Giants have bad roster, and I'm like, no.
I don't think so.
I don't think you guys realize how good of a roster. See, they have a sneaky good starting 20.
Yeah. So
Like,
I think they're a candidate that, like, if they do get the quarterback and it's a catalyst, I think they could be a relatively quick turnaround because of
that
that
is
roster.
why, to me, they're so desperate.
Yeah.
They know what we know.
Yeah.
They know that Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, they know that their offensive line, they know that Tyrone Tracy back there in running back, they know that their defense is completely fucking stacked, by the way, in the right spots. They know that they are really a quarterback away from having a Commanders-like season.
Yeah, boom.
And so that is why they're so desperate.
I agree.
And the Tennessee Titans are even further away than that.
Yeah.
You are right. The Tennessee Titans are closer to the New England Patriots in terms of roster quality. Maybe even the Raiders if you really want to get into it, but they got Max Crosby.
I feel like the Raiders have a sneaky
I don't know if I go sneaky.
I'm not saying sneaky good, but I think
underrated.
They belong in the class above the bottom feeders.
Yeah.
And people put them in the bottom feeders.
But like the Titans have a pretty terrible roster. So
I think
Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, like
got some dudes.
They got some dudes, man. They got some dudes. So to me, they're very desperate. So I don't think that the Giants are as bad off as everybody once says. I think for all the organizational stuff, the Browns aren't bad off roster wise.
Mm-hmm.
So they're technically a quarterback away. I think that then the Giants are a quarterback away. I think the Titans. I think if you don't have a quarterback, your team's always a quarterback away. But I think when you put a quarterback here right now, as the roster sits currently, it changes you from a 3-win team to possibly an 8-win team. But I don't know if an 8-win team with a season like you had last year, I don't know if those wins change enough for Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, to me, Sam Darnold's your Alex Smith. Maybe that changes their mind. But let's say you had Patrick Mahomes and you started him as a rookie.
Interesting question.
There you go. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's tough, but I'm still for taking that chance because guess what? If you draft Cam Ward and Brian Callahan is fired, just go get Joe Brady and then prosper.
Yeah, I say that they could still be pretty bad as
Saints is a pretty good sneaky bad one.
Oh yeah,
I think Panthers are a better team. They're a younger team, and I think they have a lot of players that we're all going to be like, oh man, where'd that guy come from?
Yeah, absolutely, I'm with you on that. If the likeliest outcome is that they're still going to be pretty bad in 2025, then it stands to reason that the head coach probably isn't going to survive 2 catastrophic seasons.
No.
That's where I'm kind of
That's
at
why
with it.
most coaches do not survive a rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a good spot for him to be in. Like I said, I don't envy
It's an
him.
unfair spot.
It's an unfair spot.
But the NFL is
the
not fair league. So
yeah, that's what it stands for. That's what they tell.
That's true.
That's what they tell me. So I just, man, I think to circle back to this whole conversation that we've been having tonight is, in my mind, it's like, why are we getting so bent out of shape about differing opinions on Cam Ward when this team is 3 to 4 years away from really being in a spot where you feel like, okay, now's the time to make a run, to be that consistently competitive.
I don't think if I had to say right now what I think the Titans do at the top of the draft, I'm going to go trade back out of 1. And I think that I'm just going to go trade back right now. Are you going to
I'm going to say let's just have some fun. Let's be silly for a minute. I'm going to say they're going to trade back, big brain us all, and take Shedeur.
Okay. Let's talk about free agency just real quick.
Okay.
I brought it up today, and I got Blaine all red hulked up.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, red hulked up is good.
Yeah, red hulked up is good. Morgan Moses and Brandon Scherf.
Let's go. Let's ride.
I'm telling you right now, Brandon Scherf, for those that may not know, over the last 3 seasons has never missed a game.
Yeah.
He'll be 32, I think, by the time, or 33 by the time that December rolls around.
Quite the portly man, too.
And who gives a shit? Because he gave up 0 sacks and he's never missed a game.
Yeah.
0 sacks.
Mhm.
I just want to throw that out there. 0 sacks. Has never missed a game over the last 3 seasons. Morgan Moses has missed 4 games over the last 3 seasons and has given up 2 sacks this last season.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, they both play the right side, right guard, right tackle.
Yeah.
They probably cost together $10 million in cash for the first year. They probably cost maybe $5 million in cap hit, something like that, $6 million in cap hit.
Mm-hmm.
You have solved your offensive line problems for this year.
And
Because it's a 1 or 2 year deal.
yeah.
So here's the thing, just real quick. That's 2 sacks in 1 season between the both of them.
Yeah.
I don't think we had an offensive lineman on the right side that gave up less than 2 sacks, and they all played less games than those 2 guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You ain't got to sell me, buddy.
Okay. Well, I want to get you red hulked.
So I why do you think I'm crossing my legs a little more? I don't want the camera to see.
So I look at it this way. Both of them were there with Bill Callahan.
Yeah.
Over at the Washington Commanders, and they have played over 5,000 snaps next to each other through 5 seasons at the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, dude.
So they have instant chemistry.
They do.
So instant chemistry means, hey, guess what? We don't have to fucking wait 8 weeks with that usual bullshit where we're spewing over the last, feels like 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, well, the offensive line will hit a stride in week 8. No, we don't have to do that anymore because they're familiar with Bill Callahan's system, what he expects, the terminology, which means that they can also bring that level of expectation into the locker room.
Culture. Leadership.
Thrifty.
Yeah.
We are red hulked up.
Yeah, brother. Just like I'm saying, sign the papers right now. Let's make it happen. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about it. Maybe we should have just moved quietly so that nobody picked up on the interest.
Yeah. Well, we had a caller today after we were talking about it, and we were just, getting all horny over it. And a caller called in, and he goes, like, I hope you got the ear of the general manager and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm hoping that they listen.
Yeah.
Because, to me, it's just so simple.
So simple. And it affords you time.
And Blaine goes, what do you think that Bill Callahan thinks of him? I said, well, I don't know. I wouldn't fucking ask because he thought highly of Jerron Christian and Leroy Watson. So what the fuck does he know?
Yeah.
I
think it affords you, it alleviates the pressure to go get a tackle early in the draft. We've talked about it before. Like, you always want to be in a position to just draft the best player available, not necessarily draft for need, that sort of thing. So you could let the dominoes fall, still get maybe a developmental guy that looks like, to go back to what we were talking about with the Steelers, guys that look like Morgan Moses, guys that look like Brandon Sheriff in the draft, and start grooming them to take those spots once they move on. Like, this is the plan. Draft, develop, and retain. This helps you do that.
Yeah. I'm here for re-signing NWI.
I am
so
too.
In this scenario, I've said goodbye to Dylan Radins.
Yeah, which somebody in the chat put that PK said they're not interested, which
I get it.
I get it too. I mean, there was
I hate it for him because he was a guy that kind of overcame a lot of adversity, but I get it.
There is a compelling case to retain him.
Yes.
But I think at this point, maybe you do kind of wonder about the injuries. And I asked you this privately. I don't think I said it on the air anywhere, but I just wonder if Dylan Radins was a case of being a halfway decent player on a bad team. Maybe we overvalued his contribution.
That seems to be the case for a lot of these players. Because I look at NWI, right? Kind of a similar situation. I think they should bring NWI back. I'm okay. Dylan Radins gone. He's not in my off-season plans. Let's go Morgan Moses, Brandon Scherf. Let's go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Not worry about having to pay them a little bit. It's not going to be breaking the bank.
Hogs out.
Because you've already cut Harold Landry. So you got about, $84 million in cash to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So you can afford Morgan Moses. You can afford Brandon Scherf. If you want to get Javon Holland, I find that peculiar.
Yeah, it's
But not from a player standpoint. I understand why they want Javon Holland. It's the money
The
that I'm
money.
a little, and money in the position I'm having a little bit of problem with. But Blaine kind of put in a good perspective today, saying that, like, okay, you're probably not paying for edge.
yeah.
So where's that money going?
Mm-hmm.
So why not put it to safety, especially if you got Amani Hooker on the last year of his deal? Because then in a bad season, a trade deadline, maybe you trade Amani Hooker to a contending team. Or let's say in a good season, you either just let him walk for a comp pick.
Yeah.
So, but then you have Javon Holland. So, like, I get it, but it feels I have a lot of conflict about it.
And he's still only 25. Still a young player. So it's not like you're overspending for an aging veteran. But, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Of all the positions, I don't know if this is just a sort of let the market dictate what we do and where we spend our money kind of deal or what, but it did seem odd to me.
So I like NWI. I would also bring up Greg Dortch as
okay. Yeah.
I haven't really heard any Titans fans talk about Greg Dortch, and I'm like, don't you want to go Dortch Sturth on this thing?
He's a good player, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's got speed.
Yeah.
He's a deep threat. Like, I see people pining for Darius Slayton and stuff like that, and I'm like, no, dude, let's go Greg Dortch.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
I can get with that. That's a name.
Yeah, you like that one?
I haven't heard that brought up yet,
I know.
but
I know.
That's sneaky.
I went into my big stuff. I don't think I'm going running back in this free agent class.
No, I wouldn't. No, I look at this draft class, dude. Like, day 3 pick, even if you don't want to spend a pick, like, the class is so deep, there are going to be options as undrafted free agents.
The only, because I don't think Chris Godwin's going to be an option here, but, like, the only old head, quote unquote old head, I'd be interested in is Keenan Allen.
Okay.
I'm not in on Hollywood Brown, Mecole Hardman, MVS, Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, all these other guys that kind of been in free agency these last 3 or 4 years. But, like, I'd be interested in Keenan Allen.
Okay.
Because I think Keenan Allen still got it. Where I'm not saying I would do it, and it's at the top of my wish list, but out of all these names, like, we're talking Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Hollywood Brown, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Darius Slayton, Juju Smith-Schuster, G.J. Chark, Rondell Moore. Like,
yeah,
I'm going Keenan Allen out of all those guys.
Yeah, he still had it last year. And I feel like a lot of these other guys are, the saying that
and maybe Josh Palmer is not really like an old head, but like,
what's the saying that the fans are 2 years behind on the tape sort of deal? Kind of feels like a lot of those guys are past that point.
Right.
But Keenan Allen still popped enough last year that if you're making me gun to my head pick, I probably would pick Keenan Allen too.
Titans miss out on Sam Darnold. Are you Mac Jones pilled at that point?
Yeah, man. I'm doing it.
Are you all bricked up for Mac Jones over there?
Jarrett
got to
Stidham.
Do you think they got to bring back Nick Folk?
I don't know. I don't know about that one because it kind of feels like you could and be okay, but then it also adds to your shopping list around the draft. And I don't know if you would want to spend a pick and get the best kicker in the draft, or if we just want to keep going under the Mike Vrabel kicker carousel, getting all these undrafted guys. I tend to lean keep him if you can, I think.
I don't know what I want to do at tight end this offseason. They got to do something, okay?
Yeah.
So, like, let's just throw this out there. I know it's not sexy, but, like, they have to do something at tight end. I don't really trust Tyler Conklin.
No.
Because I don't really like Gerald Everett. So I kind of look at it and I go, do you just bring back Nick Vannett and to buy you time just in case you need to can't find one in the draft?
It's a decent tight end class in the draft, but again, that gets to drafting for need, necessitating, oh shit, we got to pick a tight end at some point. And I think it takes away from how fluid you can be with the draft. Yeah, probably bring back Nick Vannett. Probably just like roll with what you had and see if you can get an upgrade, and then take 4 and see which one loses out in camp.
Okay, so like here's why I think they're not bringing back Dylan Radin. So we already mentioned Brandon Scherf. You still got Will Hernandez, Will Fries, Matt Pryor, Tevin Jenkins, James Daniels, Evan Brown, Mekhi Becton, Laken Tomlinson, Dalton Risner, Lucas Patrick, Patrick McCarry, Aaron Banks, and I think Aaron Banks resigned. Mark Glowinski. Like all these guys are kind of like, okay, they're Dylan Radins.
You could work with that, yeah.
The tackles are a little bit different. Yeah, I know Jedrick Wills is still out there, and Joe Noteboom. Chris Hubbard is back out there again, which they should have brought him back last year.
I was about to say they had the chance to bring him in last year and they didn't.
But I look at him like, okay, I know people are going to get mad if when I say this, but Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, like those are guys that you take and just buy you time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like none of these guys are starters. Now there could be a surprise cut, obviously, but like to me, and I will say Team Ramrod said Mercedes Lewis, and I'd be all in a Mercedes Lewis.
Ageless wonder.
Ageless wonder. But like when you look at the guards and offensive tackles, these are all placeholders, so spend accordingly.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless Ronnie Stanley hits the market.
Yeah,
that's the only
he was going back.
Well, that is what now formerly Pretty Ricky, now Slick Rick has said that he's going back.
Oh, so that's not official.
Edge rush.
Let's do it.
Azeez Ojulari is where I'm kind of like focusing in on.
Yeah, I like it. That's kind of
Chase Young is supposedly going back. I like Deo Odeyingbo. I liked him coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope the Tennessee Titans were going to get him coming out. Josh Sweat, too expensive for me. I would be interested in Baron Browning. He's a little bit of a cheaper guy.
Yeah.
Obviously not interested in Hassan Reddick. But, like, I'm kind of looking at it and go, okay, Charles Omenihu.
There's some value guys in this class, for sure.
Yeah. A lot of people like Patrick Jones, but that's, like, to me, like the Kuntz, Malcolm Kuntz, is that it just feels like a one-year wonder.
Yeah. I would be okay if they opted to pay Josh Sweat. Thinking if you're going to pay a premium for any position, at least you're paying a premium for a premium position kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I still don't know. I'm curious to see what his market looks like, because he was in a really good situation. And, I mean, he was good. He was productive. Don't get me wrong. But is he really the guy? And is he going to command the guy kind of money?
My guy Chris Rumpf is back on a free agency.
How about that?
Really thought there was going to be something there with him. I really like that one.
Yeah.
There's Josh Uche, Joseph Asai. There's a couple of names where you're kind of like, can they be reclamation projects? But you don't really need reclamation projects at Edge 1.
Yeah.
And I don't really, outside of Josh Sweat, and there's not a real Edge 1, but I really do keep coming back to Azeez Ojulari.
Well, because he gives you the talent and the upside still.
Yeah.
While also being the value, because I think he would probably be somewhat of a reclamation project at this point. But there is still upside with him, and I don't think you're signing him to be Edge 1. I think your Edge 1's probably going to be, maybe Abdul Carter, maybe it's Mike Green, maybe it's one of these guys. I don't know.
And he'll be turning 25 in June.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like there's still upside there with Azeez Ojulari, and I don't think he's going to break the bank to get him.
Health is the biggest issue, and I think that's where I feel like a lot of these guys fall short, is that a lot of these guys stay fucking injured.
Yeah.
And that sucks at edge. Bobby Wagner, Zach Bond already taken off linebacker. A linebacker nobody's talked about, and maybe kind of makes me feel like Rand Carthon was still here, but Dre Greenlaw.
I know, man.
Nobody's talking about Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
And listen, Ernest Jones just had surgery. Nick Bolton kind of feels like Kenneth Murray, but like smarter.
Well, I think I wonder what his market's going to look like too, because
Right.
that feels like a case of you're going to spend for a not premium position.
Yeah. But like I look at it and I go, okay, Dre Greenlaw is probably the biggest. And listen, I think a name that's falling under the radar right now, and I think that they should have signed him last year, Willie Gay Jr.
Yeah.
And guess where he played before he played last year at New Orleans?
Where?
Kansas City, baby.
How about that?
There you go.
How about that?
So, like, I'm looking at it go, you do need to draft. Listen, this team has so many holes. It is ridiculous. You're going to have to spend money on unsexy positions.
Yeah.
Linebacker's one of them. I like Willie Gay Jr. I like Nick Bolton, Robert Spillane, Dre Greenlaw, Christian Roseboom out of the Rams. Of course, Ernest Jones is still out there. Tyrell Dodson coming out of Miami, who was better than David Long. Like, there are some guys on here that you could get probably for cheap. So I'm kind of sitting there. Cornerback, skip. And safety. The reason I'm also kind of wondering about Javon Holland, because I don't think Javon Holland is that much better than Justin Reed.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that much better. And maybe I'm wrong in saying this. But I don't think he's that much better in price from Juan Thornhill.
Okay.
I don't think he's that much better than like a Jordan Poyer. Like, I feel like there's guys on this list, Julian Blackmon, Trevor Mooring, Justin Simmons, Cameron Bynum if he reaches free agency. Like, I look at this list and I'm like, man, is he that much better?
Those look like better values.
Yeah.
Basically.
Ed Henry says over under 12 free agency signings. I think you're over, excluding even the former Tennessee Titans that maybe gets re-signed. Like it has to be.
This is
you're not filled in. You're not filled in 53 if you don't.
I feel like people are underestimating. I kind of feel like they're about to just drop a nuke on this roster.
Yeah.
Like, this is the part where it's rock bottom. We just strip this thing down to the bare bones and start the rebuild.
All right, kids.
So you're out on Quandre Diggs. He's walking.
I think he's walking because if he was in the plan, let me say this: I don't think he's a starter.
Okay.
Now for the Tennessee Titans,
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if he was a starter, they wouldn't even be sniffing around Javon Holland.
Fair enough.
I just kind of read the tea leaves that way. Okay, that will do it for us. Football and other F words. We talked for a fucking long time.
You don't
like
want to go at least 15 more minutes on Nick Bolton?
No, I do not.
What about playoff Nick Bolton?
What if we sign Nick Bolton, then I'll give you a full 15 minutes to talk about Nick Bolton.
One of my favorite players.
Okay. If they sign, we're putting it out in the ether. Jackson, hold us to it. If they sign Nick Bolton next week, next Thursday, Stoney Keeley gets 15 minutes uninterrupted. I will not interrupt.
On Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton, 15 minutes. Now, you have to deliver. So you have to have 15 minutes. So what is a number that you think you can do?
I don't want to do any, actually. I'm just joking.
Okay, how are you sleeping? Have you figured out what to do with Jalen Travis?
I'm putting him on the hidden gems list.
And at what position?
He's going to be a tackle. I think he's going to get a shot at tackle. He would be a perfect candidate. You bring in Morgan Moses, you bring in Brandon Sheriff, you draft Jalen Travis on day 3, and you groom him to be the successor.
So you've given up on them being able to mentor John Ojukwu.
Well, I think
the John Ojukwu dream is dead.
Well, that's a different position altogether.
Okay.
You're talking about the right tackle
Yeah.
versus the jumbo package tight end.
Okay.
Completely different positions.
All right. When's your new poetry book coming out?
I've got a couple more to wrap up, and then I got to start digging into all the formatting and stuff, getting it ready for publish, and it'll probably be, it might even be after the draft because it's just not, it's not a real priority right now. I'm behind on evals.
Jackson, how would you grade the show?
It's not over yet. We have not done our 2 minutes on the Traders season finale.
Oh, that's right. So is Traders season finale? So you don't watch Traders?
No.
So start the timer for 2 minutes. Cliffhanger last week. So I'd closed my phone or closed my computer. No spoilers. Of course, it hasn't started yet. But
Just reading the chat. I'm sorry. Don't mind me.
But Danielle, is she the worst and least? Is she at least the least likable reality character you've ever seen on a TV show, Jackson?
I don't think she's the least likable. I think her gameplay is a little abrasive.
Do you think it's smart gameplay, or do you think she's just fucking lucky?
I think it's been pretty lucky, but she is there, and the others are not. Like, ultimately, she was in the turret on day one, and, Bob the Drag Queen, Boston Rob, Carolyn are all gone. So I can't call her terrible, but she has made it more obvious that she is a traitor, or at least that is how the show is portraying it.
So do you feel like when they open up the show tonight at the round table, that because it was left on the cliffhanger where maybe Danielle is going home, do you think that Danielle's going to be voted out because Brittany is Brittany, right? I didn't brain fart on that, did I?
Yes, it is Brittany.
Brittany, who has eyes like AI, like she looks like she is AI artwork. Like someone said, draw me someone from The Bachelorette, and Grok AI came out with that. Her eyes are crazy. But do you think that she betrays her because she already has betrayed her in Big Brother?
I don't think she does. I think we go to chance.
Yeah.
I think it's a 2-on-2 draw. I think they go to chance, and I think Ivar gets the unlucky end and goes home.
I think because of how Brittany kind of acted and her facial twitches and all that kind of stuff, I think she looked at the surroundings, and I think she saw, because if you remember, she was looking at Dolores.
And you can never, if you ever base your vote on what Dolores does, you're just wrong.
Right. And I think she may be wrong because I think she saw that Dolores felt convinced, or at least not convinced, about Danielle's innocence in that debate. And I think that she saw that and is like, okay, well, there goes our swing vote. I need to vote Danielle.
Who's your winner pick?
Brittany. I mean, I think if Brittany makes it, I don't think Danielle's going to make it because she'll easily throw Danielle under the bus. Have you started watching Traders Australia yet?
No, I'm on Traders UK.
Yeah, we're going to I tried to start that the other night, but she wanted to do season 2 Traders. Is everybody bored of our Traders talk in the chat?
No. I was checking Instagram. My wife is getting
He's
on
bored
to
of
me.
our Traders talk.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She sends me videos of Scotland, and I send her this Hobbit home I found in the woods in Virginia, and she's like, how are our vacation ideas so different?
It sounds like the same.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just as good as Scotland.
All right. How would you grade the show now that we don't know Traders talk?
B+ show, boys. Wide range of topics. Great yap fest all around.
Love it.
There we go.
Love it. Okay. Stoney Keeley, SoBrosNetwork.com, StackInTheInbox.com, Hot Read Podcast, Poetry.
Yep.
What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something.
I can't keep up with it all. It's all in a link tree on my profile on Twitter.
Reddit peruser. Would you like to say something to your Reddit haters?
The Reddit, I was going to make a comment, something about.
Well, I mean, you did put Roma Dunze number 1 overall.
I stand by it.
And
he was my favorite player last year.
Yeah.
But I knew, to be fair, I knew when he got drafted to Chicago, the first thought in my head was,
it's like, I'm fucked.
This is going to fuck me. This is going to fuck me.
But what's funny is that the only way they would know that is if they're subscribers to your work.
Well,
paid subscribers, by the way.
Yeah. I was going to say earlier when we were talking about we want Brian Callahan to be successful because then we're proven right. And I was going to chime in. I didn't have my moment. Yeah. Or else in a year's time, people are going to be on Reddit talking about Zach and Stoney thought Brian Callahan was a good coach. Yeah.
Well, he is a good coach. He just may not be a good head coach. Who knows?
Yeah. I think he's a good ball coach.
Yeah.
And I think Roma Dunze was my favorite player.
This is also why I don't Reddit. Is it?
Well,
is that right? Am I using that right?
Yeah.
I'm not a Redditor.
It's gotten progressively worse, not just in the Titan subreddit, but Reddit in general. It used to be a great place to go, like, get ideas of like what people wanted me to write about, like see what people are talking about, what articles they're sharing and that sort of stuff. And then I made the mistake of scrolling and somebody made a big post about last week's show. Stoney from F Words says Travis Hunter's like Jamar Chase, which my idea was like speed, utility. and I was getting grilled for it. And whoever that original poster was, shout out to him or her, because they were in the comments like backing me up a little bit. But people came out of the woodwork to talk about how dumb I am, pretty much.
It's a cesspool.
And I was like, I can't even go on. I can't even just scroll Reddit mindlessly without seeing it.
You're too famous now. It's the burden of fame.
I do have one guy on Facebook that messages me after every appearance I have on 104.5. And he's like, you did a great job today.
I was going to say you fucking suck.
No, and I'm just like,
they never have you on.
I'm just like, that, fuck Reddit. I'm going to just talk to this guy on Facebook.
The best thing I've ever seen that's ever been shared with me that someone has said on Reddit.
Yeah.
Because I know in our group chat, Reddit stuff gets shared. So then I scroll through it that way. Was when someone said that Easton ruins everything he touches, and I was like, "Oh, that's the most accurate thing on Reddit."
Hurtful,
that will do it for us here on Football and Other F Words. Follow me on Twitter at @TheZachLines. You can follow him on Twitter at Stoney Keeley. This is Football and Other F Words. And Jackson behind the glass, and you have just been effed.